Okay, the time is now 1 o'clock. Welcome to our September 15th regular commissioner meeting. We'll start today's meeting by honoring our country and giving the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to change it up a little bit and deviate from our agenda and have Kay Gatton, the county treasurer, come up first.
I just have my service agreement for our online service. Needs to be reviewed and signed by myself, but I need approval from the review.
Kate, I apologize if you sent that meeting because I didn't notice that that has an automatic renewal in it after this term is up. And the commissioners passed their contract ordinance a year or so ago where they don't allow for automatic renewals in contracts. So if they would maybe agree to remove the automatic renewal, I'm fine with everything else.
And we've had some good success with companies understanding and agreeing to remove that language. Okay. And the purpose of that, of removing the auto renewal, is that we feel that contracts need to be regularly reviewed, and so we've decided we don't want that language of auto renewal to be in any contract.
Okay. Do you want me to bring it back in 2 weeks?
So I think we could approve
Subject to that change.
if it were subject to the removal of any auto renewal. And if we do that, then there's no need to come back. We can sign it once Andy has approved the language in the contract. So again, this is for payment processing, for tax payment. So what's the commissioner's desire here?
I would move to approve the contract contingent upon if they'll take out the automatic renewal in that, and then I'm fine with Commissioner Banks signing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
So now we'll back up to Nathan Bilger from the Planning Department, and we'll start with 25W Rezone 6.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So, 25W Rezone 6 is a rezoning from IN intensive use to IPM industrial park manufacturing. This is located at the northeast corner of State Road 14 and State Road 9. It's the current location of Crossroad Inn. So the applicant is looking at buying that, and what they want to do is construct a truck stop. Based upon their description, truck stop is kind of a very heavy term. Basically going to be gas station with truck parking, and that's one of the...
Can I
Sorry.
Can I pause for
My bad.
a moment? It's okay if we move forward with Race-Trac, but that's not 25W
I am
Rezone
so
6.
sorry. 6 is... I'm so used to having it first.
Yep, let's bounce. Let's stay the course, because that's what you have in front of you.
Okay. So number 8. Hopefully that's the only thing today. So what the petitioner is looking at doing is a truck stop, which is, in their mind, they're looking at doing a gas station with truck parking. The truck parking is what defines it as a truck stop. They've described it not to have showers or anything like that, at least not right now. But truck stops require a IPM designation, not allowed in IN nor GC. The history of this parcel, despite it being a restaurant, it was rezoned to heavy industrial back in the late 70s to reflect primarily the fertilizer plant that's up along the railroad track. It was all one parcel at one time. So that's why it's zoned into heavy industrial now, rather than something that's more appropriate. Comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. Any questions for me?
And I would move to approve the petition as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, and this will be ordinance number 2025-20. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, so on to number 6, rezone 6. This is a rezoning from AG to AGP for approximately, let me make sure I got this right. This one's for the 80 acres located along 700 East in Jefferson Township. The request is for AGP to be used primarily as a preservation measure for agriculture, not so much the production side of things. The petitioner has submitted commitments after discussion with the commissioners, commitments that no CFOs of any size would be located here, as well as no AGP sized greenhouses, because AGP does allow for larger greenhouses. So that does fit in. If you do adopt this, you can adopt that. You can also negotiate, modify commitments as you wish. You do have that ability. So this is an area of, going to the comp plan, this is an area of mixed rural, which allows and recommends both agricultural operations to continue forward, but also says that we should expect development to occur. Basically, the 2 miles west of the Allen County line is designated, in Jefferson Township, is designated as mixed rural. That was a pretty extensive discussion at the Plan Commission. This case comes to you with no recommendation from the Plan Commission, neither favorable nor unfavorable, so no recommendation. It was not unanimous. It was a 5-2 decision. So comes to you again, no recommendation either way. I could probably talk a lot more because there's a lot that has been discussed with this, but you've been part of those discussions. So any questions for me?
So, just to be totally clear, we've heard from dozens and dozens and dozens of folks, both in Whitley County and Allen County. The vast majority of those are in Allen County, and they all mention their fear of a CFO or a confined feeding operation. And then the ones that I've corresponded with, I've said, what about traditional grain farming? And oh, we love that, we love that. My grandpa was a farmer, a lot of that kind of stuff. And so the ironic thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this didn't get approved, the petitioner, as it is zoned now, AG Agriculture, could go to IDEM, get a permit, get a building permit from your department, and move forward with a Class 1 CFO if it is not approved, correct? And if we do approve it, the petitioner is committing that there will not be a CFO at any time in the future, and it's a deed restriction, as I understand it, that it goes with the property.
It'll run with the land.
Okay. So to me, there's been a lot of discussion about, is this the best way to preserve it, is it not? Whether it is or not, if this is approved, everybody gets what they want. All the Allen County folks that don't want a CFO nearby, they get what they want. The petitioner gets their property rezoned to the way that they want. So it's a very simple issue on this one to me. So with that being said, I will move to approve 25-W-REZ6 contingent upon the petitioner signing the commitment not to,
There's two restrictions.
yeah.
Yep. As Nathan laid them out, the
Yes.
greenhouse and the no CFO.
Yes.
So this is ordinance number 2025-18. We have a motion on the floor. I won't move forward with discussion unless there's a second. Is there a second for the motion?
I'm not in sales mode, but again, if we approve this, everybody gets what they want. If we don't approve it, then there's the petitioner is within their right to go ahead and with a Class 1 CFO, which they are not going to do. They've said they're not going to do, but it's in their rights. They could.
I'll ask again, is there a second to the motion? Hearing none, that motion dies for lack of a second. Now I'll open it back up for further discussion. I'll say this, I completely understand and respect everything that you just said. And as I stated in the Planning Commission meeting, being a member of that board as well, I'm taking a lot of consideration into the comprehensive plan that the county, paid a group out of somewhere in Ohio to come up and form Whitley County. Was a group that helped put together that comprehensive plan, and we had I don't even know how many participants on various steering committees, and ultimately that comprehensive plan was approved, adapted, and in there it clearly states that this is an area where we will consider and encourage future residential growth. It'll be a mixed use rural land type, and it's somewhere where we will encourage subdivisions. We will encourage future residential, and I think a big part of that is because there's some services out there. Aqua has sewer available, and there's services already exist. And while I'm not in favor of being overrun by housing by residential, I wouldn't want to do anything that would discourage future residential, future subdivisions, that sort of thing. I fully understand, and I've said it for well over a month now. I understand that being zoned AG, the petitioner has every right to go apply for permits and move forward with a confined animal feeding operation of some size, and other size with a special exception. But they've made it clear, I really appreciate from the petitioner that they made it clear from the very beginning that that's not what this is about. It's not about a confined animal feeding operation. And so, the media has latched on and said that they're watching closely because there's a threat of a large animal operation along the line, and again, that's not what this is about. There's a lot of misunderstanding. We've seen not just dozens and dozens, but we've seen hundreds and hundreds of emails from people who are concerned about what this could be, and it's been a little bit disheartening for me, a little bit sad to see the amount of misinformation that was being spread. That being said, I still look at what the best use for this land is, and by no means are we saying that someone has to sell or subdivide or develop. There's nothing that changes when that commitment letter is provided. There's nothing that changes. In fact, there is, I'll back up on that. There is something that changes. It's more restrictive in AG. There's far less that could be done in AG than what could be done in AGP. I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
There's far less in AGP than there is in AG. There's far less permitted uses. There's far less special exceptions in AGP. It does, however, though, impose some things on the neighboring property if there's some subdivisions. And again, my position on this has been and continues to be encouraging residential growth near a town center, although that town center happens to be on the other side of a county line. I would always encourage growth near town centers. I would encourage growth near Columbia City where utilities are available, or near Tri-Lakes where utilities are available. And it just so happens utilities are available in this part of the county where I would also encourage residential growth. And I would not take a vote that would discourage that.
I agree with everything that you just said, and the petitioner, and I believe them when they say that they don't want a confined feeding operation. They were willing to sign legal documents saying that they won't have them and it would run with the property forever. But also, with the way the comprehensive plan is written now, and I mean, we spent 4 years on that plan, and I think, what, $200,000? What was it, Nathan, do you remember?
It was about 80.
80? Oh, I was.
It's
Are you
okay.
sure?
It
Okay.
felt more like more.
It's been a few years. That's still a lot of money to spend, taxpayer dollars, on a plan. And every petition that we take is looked at individually, so you can't look at one and then assume because we approve something that it's going to be approved on the next one. Every single petition is looked at on an individual basis. And I think we've approved 6 or 7 applications from AG to AGP just this year. But with nothing changing in the operations for the people that own the land, and there being many other avenues to preserve the land, taking the zoning tool out of it, it's just something I can't support, especially there is growth there now, and it's a hard thing. You know, I keep hearing we're losing farmland, and I agree, but it's almost like the story's been written that there's a boogeyman out there taking people's land, and that's just not the case. People are selling their land, and that's their right. It's a very complex issue. What do you do? I don't know. Is it a problem? Yes. Do I think that farmland should be preserved? Yes, but it also belongs to people, and I believe in individual rights as well. Absolutely nothing is going to change with the petitioner's business. People who live over there, you know, I've heard stories that people are unkind. You live next to a farm, you need to be kind to the farmers. If you see them on their tractor and you're stuck behind them, be kind to them. You don't need to yell profanities or do anything like that. So I'm getting off on a tangent, but every petition is looked at differently, and I absolutely support the agriculture community in Woodley County. But this one, it's not hindering the applicant from doing anything that they're not already doing, and there are many other avenues to preserve their land, which I want them to do. If that's what they want to do, then that's great. So I guess that's it.
And just to add to that too, when we go back and we look at the purpose or spirit or intent of creating the AGP zoning district, the purpose of that originally back in around 2006 was for confined animal feeding operations, not preservation. So I think this conversation leads to a larger conversation about us as commissioners defining what is AGP, what is the purpose of AGP, because when, as I said, when it was created, the purpose of AGP was for larger confined animal feeding operations, not preservation. So I think this is just leading into a much larger conversation, not for today, but in the near future. I think we need to clearly define what AGP is.
I will say too, as we've already referenced, we heard from hundreds of folks by email. I will say on record, I read every email. To my recollection, I received 10 emails from residents of Whitley County, 8 of whom expressed their support of this rezoning request. 2 of them in just the last hour. There were probably 200 from folks in Allen County, and they were all concerned about a CAFO that's not even on the table, as we've said. So it's just a big misunderstanding, I think.
Okay, we had a motion to approve. It died for a lack of a second. So at this point, how do we move forward with the request?
I would move to keep the parcel as zoned currently.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second the motion and open up for further discussion.
I still feel like whether it's the intent of AGP, we can't really interpret the intent of things that were done 2 decades ago, or approximately. It was before any of our time. But again, this is a very unique situation, and the ironic nature of it is that all the folks that are saying vote no to CFO, if this was approved, they're going to get what they want, because there's a legally binding document that says that it won't happen. If it's denied, the petitioner's within their rights to move forward. So I know if I was one of those Allen County folks, I would have changed my hat here and all of a sudden said, wait a minute, better look at this again.
Well, and I think it goes back to a larger conversation, that I see that you're looking at it on a micro level, but looking at it as a macro level, we do need to have further conversations, and looking at this petition individually, I've already stated how I feel, but I don't think it's one outweighs the other, and I know you mentioned the Allen County folks, and but I see what you're saying, but I think it needs to be looked at on a macro level, and I see that you're looking at it just as this petition, but if we make a decision.
We're voting on this petition though.
Right, but that does have further ramifications as to how we move forward in the future with the comprehensive plan and other decisions regarding AGP and AG.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, and opposed the same, and that motion carries. Next is 25W Rezone 7. This is going to be ordinance number 2025-19.
So on Rezone 7, this is a nearby parcel. It fronts onto 800 East County Line Road. It's a bit different from the previous parcel. It's a little smaller. It's about 60 acres as opposed to 80 acres. Because of that, automatically the Class 3 CFO is not permitted, even if it were to be rezoned to AGP. It also has a lot of drainage going through it, which does restrict, under IDEM's rules, it heavily restricts any siting of any CFO. So effectively, it's not really a good CFO location across the board, in addition to it being on the county line, as opposed to the other one, which had far less restrictions for CFOs. This does have sewer and water much more readily available, not necessarily immediately available, but within feasible reach. So again, as Teresa said, every case is unique. This one's a little bit different than the previous one. Comes to you from the Plan Commission with an unfavorable recommendation, which was also a 5-2 vote. Any questions on this one?
The proposed restriction was also offered for this one.
Yes, thank you. Same set of commitments for this as well.
And that vote was taken before the restriction was added, correct?
The commitments at the Plan Commission were not as restrictive. It was just no Class 3 CFOs. The petitioner has changed that, modified it with after discussions with you to make it more restrictive.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I'll clearly state that as a member of the ag community, I'm a farmer myself. Both sides of my family have farmed for generations. To me, it's clear to see that there's a way for everybody here to get what they want, because of the, I guess I'll say, generosity of the petitioner and willingness to meet folks halfway, that they can get the rezoning that they request, while also giving up some of the rights that would come with that rezoning. So it's, as I understand it, it's a symbolic gesture of their commitment to maintain this land for agricultural use long into the future, after everyone in this room is long gone. So that's why I think it's important to understand also that Whitley County is an agricultural community. We produce food here, and while we do welcome residential growth, if you're going to move out of the city into an area where agricultural production is happening, that's probably a poor choice of words, where farming is happening, you need to understand that there's things that come with that. Dust, slow-moving tractors down the road, sometimes lights when people have to go late at night, noise from grain dryers and things like that. So that's what happens here, because this is an agricultural community and we produce food here, and many, many jobs depend not just in Whitley County on agriculture. The guys that work at the co-op, that spread fertilizer, that spray, the grain elevator, the truck drivers, those are all agricultural related jobs, and it's a huge, huge part of our tax base here in Whitley County.
Well, and I'll just add on to that and say that I fully support agriculture. This is not a question about whether or not we support agriculture. It's more of a question of zoning and what zoning is most appropriate for this area and what the purpose or intent of agriculture is. And I'll say that we've approved multiple requests for rezoning, even some this year already. I've always been supportive of those rezonings because they made sense. The site made sense. This one, to me personally, the site doesn't make sense for the zoning type.
I agree. I would move to keep this parcel as it's currently zoned.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second the motion and open up for further discussion.
I think it's an ironic situation, as I've said. All the Allen County folks that have reached out have unanimously said, oh, we don't want a confined feeding operation. I had a conversation with a gentleman who was in a leadership position with that group of folks, and expressed my concern that if this was denied, and I even told him at the time the petitioner is removing their right to any kind of a confined feeding operation here. And he asked me, he said, well, what's your concern then? I said, are you going to come after the rest of farming activities next? And he said, absolutely not. My family farms. He mentioned another continent. So provided that they've all said that they're not after ag in general, they don't want a feeding operation, combined feeding operation nearby their residential area. There was a simple way to give everybody what they wanted, and it is a unique situation that I think would stand alone if people look back in the future at this turn of events. But I guess I'm in the minority.
Yeah, and as previously stated from me, I appreciated the commitments from the petitioner. I believe them. You know, I take them at their word and I believe them, but again, to me, it just comes down to what the most appropriate zoning type for this section as defined in the comprehensive plan as a mixed rural, what makes most sense for this area. And I just don't think that changing from AG to AGP, I don't feel that AGP is the most appropriate zoning type for the area. I think that ultimately it would discourage growth, and we're asked in the comprehensive plan to encourage, not discourage. So, anything further? Hearing none, I do have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same, and that motion carries. Okay, Nathan, let's move on to plats.
Okay, the plat for Race-Trac, we did not receive a Mylar yet, and there were some, what I feel are more substantive edits than sometimes. They had some changes to be made, so I don't feel comfortable giving you a paper copy yet until I get those edits. So that one will have to be tabled to the next meeting. So that leaves Ludwig Farms, which Ludwig Farms is a 2-lot plat located up north of Loon Lake. What they are doing off of, let's see, 350 West. What they're doing is splitting the overall acreage into 2 lots, lot 1 inclusive of the existing home, lot 2 being for a new home site. Comes to you, of course, with approval from the Plan Commission. There were some, again, technical changes to this that I believe have been addressed. So this is ready to go. Any questions on it?
Any questions for Nathan?
I would move to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same, and that carries unanimously.
Thank you. I'll leave this here. And thank you for all the time you guys have spent on Plan Commission matters this last month. I know it's been a lot as well. So.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan, for all you've done.
The next item on the agenda today is conflict of interest forms. We have two. We discussed this recently. The form has changed, and these will be submitted per event. And so the first conflict of interest form that I have submitted comes from Melina Wheeler, whose husband mows the former landfill, the landfill property that the county owns north of Columbia City. And so each time he's asked to keep the vegetation down. And the purpose for keeping the vegetation down is that SES goes and monitors methane, and they can't do that if vegetation is tall, and also methane can create fire, and so if the vegetation dries out and it's tall, it could start a grass fire. So anyway, she submitted, it looks like Nathan will be mowing again, so she submitted a conflict of interest form. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries unanimously. These forms, the new forms, ask for 2 signatures. So myself and Teresa will be signing today. The second conflict of interest form comes from Tamla Tencher, whose husband is a subcontractor hired to do work for the county. It appears he's installing flooring at the Community Corrections Building, part of that project that was approved last year.
Does that change now that he's an employee?
That would be a question for Mark, but I believe that work has started as a contractor. I don't know if Mark is here today or not, but I believe that a lot of the work has been completed and that there will be an invoice. And I know you don't know,
Is it
Tamla.
today's first day?
I don't want to put you on the spot.
That was previous to his employment.
Yeah, I think that.
I don't know anything after that.
Yeah. In my conversation with Mark last week, it sounds like a lot of this work has already been completed, and Tamla was made aware that he was continuing the flooring project, and so she did the right thing by submitting a conflict of interest form.
Would move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand, and that motion carries. We did also receive some facility requests. The first one comes from Angie Oliver, and this is a request for the courthouse gazebo and light posts. It's a proclamation reading for, let me see, Domestic Violence Task Force. This is something that is done annually. They'll tie purple ribbons around the posts of the gazebo. They'll put a domestic violence task force banner in the lawn, and the dates, the date of request is October 1st. And the ribbons will remain throughout October. And the proclamation reading will be from 1 to 1:30 on the 1st rather.
I'll move to approve the facilities request as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor raise your right hand. And that motion carries. The second facility request comes from Vivian Sade, representing the Whitley County Democrat Party. They are asking for use of the courthouse on October 25th. This would be from 1 to 3, so it will be after the farmer's market, which ends at noon. They look for approximately 20 to 25 participants. And this is for a peaceful protest, First Amendment right to assemble.
I would move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor raise your right hand. And that motion carries. And the next item on our agenda is payroll and accounts payable claims.
I went up earlier today and I think Commissioner Schuman, you got some and I finished them up, so, and everything looked to be in order. I would move to approve payroll.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve payroll. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor raise your right hand. And that carries unanimously. Accounts payable.
Everything looked to be in order. They
Yep.
looked at as well. I would move to approve accounts payable as well.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor raise your right hand. And oppose the same, and that carries unanimously. Has everyone had a chance to review our previous meeting minutes?
Everything looks to be accurate to the best of my recollection, so I'll move to approve the minutes from the August 18th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor raise your right hand. And that motion carries unanimously. We've come to that time of the meeting where I will open up for public comment. Today we'll allow for 2 minutes. Anyone who would like to come forward, please introduce yourself at the podium, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
My name's Henry Janda, 4360 East 700 South, Columbia City. These rezoning requests, just arbitrarily going to AGP is ridiculous. We sat at a planning meeting back in June and basically got steamrolled. Now, they come up with a big group and you're kicking back and forth. But my point, if you're gonna go to AGP for the hell of it, just to preserve farmland, why not go get a covenant on that property? It'll do the same thing with no impact on neighbors. I would say, don't do anything to AGP unless there is a plan coming forth for development to change actual use for AGP, not just for the heck of it. But that's the way I think it ought to be. You know, when they crossed the street from me, went to AGP, no signs up yet, but that's several months ago. I have requested from the planning department information on how it's going to impact my property. Again, I've heard nothing from them. So, and definitely, if the idea to go to AGP in Jefferson Township is to punish all the other folks, okay, go for it. But I think if you want to preserve farmland, go with a covenant. If you've got a plan to move forward with that plan, do it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment today?
David Feeder, 5310 here in Lake Crossing, Fort Wayne, Indiana, with the county landowner. So we'll be coming to you guys soon for some of the same types of requests. So I just wanted to say I appreciate all of your candor today. That was much different than what we experienced at the previous meeting. When I was first brought into all of this, it was certainly because of exactly what you said, concern for CFOs being built and that sort of stuff, and all the terrible things that might come from that. I've certainly learned a lot along the way. I think every argument I've tried to make has been more along the lines of what you two were presenting today, and I really appreciate that. Following the plan, I think, was very important. I think that establishes for everybody who's moving to a community to understand what it is to expect across the street, down the road, or anything like that. And so I think the plan is very important. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for your candor today, and thank you for explaining that side of it as well. Definitely appreciate those words. So just want to say, job well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Steve Renninger from Walnut Springs. I had sent you guys an email, and I just wanted to kind of remind you guys, I don't know if you saw this, I believe your surveyor made a comment about Plat 7, or the rezoning of number 7 about the watershed. I sent you guys an email of what we get off of Squaw Creek, which is zoning 6 area. This is a pond here, and this is all the red water runoff. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see, open that up and look at that. I just wanted to just make sure that it was on the record that you guys saw that. And I don't know if the surveyor had a chance to see that, especially when he made a comment about zone 7, about all the heavy runoff that comes off of that. And somewhere I don't see all this brown water on our side, or where it actually goes. But we do see what comes off of 6. So I just want to put that in the record.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, my name is Dave Ross. I'm at 2320 Surrey Way in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but also my wife owns property at 6877 Northwise Road, so we're taxpayer. First thing, I just want to make a suggestion. Can you get some microphones in here? Because it's really hard to hear some people from the back. And this is a small room, but we just can't hear. Secondly, I just wanted to make make a statement about what I think about, like, there's a master plan, and it seems like you're kind of chipping away at it, and now it's become something that's not a plan anymore. And I just see that as possibly affecting our interests at the 6877 property. The other thing is, I just wanted to remind you that I appreciate the fact that you're being good neighbors, that you're taking the interests of people that are maybe not voters, they're not property owners like I am, over with the county, but your impact on their proximity to the county line and some of this development, or the planning, that the zoning that could impact us. I do appreciate that. So you know, I just wanted to say one other thing. I can't look into a crystal ball. I don't know what the long game is on this. I don't know. I don't know what happens like when you zone one area, an 80-acre area, you know, change zoning on that. What happens to the adjacent properties? Is that kind of the camel get your nose under tent? I don't know what that is, but I just kind of wanted to throw my concern for, you know, long term. How is this going to impact Whitley County and the surrounding areas? That's really all I have to say. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice if we could hear.
As you know, I'm Brian Emmerich, one of the requesters of this rezone. So we requested a rezone from AG to AGP to safeguard our farmland against non-agricultural suburban sprawl. People from Whitley and Allen came in to argue that this was really an attempt to be able to build a new livestock farm, greenhouse, even a slaughterhouse, all kinds of crazy stuff. We offered a legal deed restriction commitment that would run with the land parcels regardless of ownership, not to build any of those things. This proved our intent was to protect the ground, to keep our farmland in agriculture for the foreseeable future. Our Whitley County Comprehensive Plan identifies a countywide goal to protect rural character, prime agricultural land from development that has a suburban or urban character, or that erodes farmers' rights to farm. Comp Plan 1.6. This was our goal and was one of the reasons we were seeking to rezone our farm properties from AG to AGP. We are disappointed the county voted against us. With this vote, the county signaled its support for allowing residential sprawl to erode the farm ag land here in Whitley County. We still have an opportunity to reverse this trend, but the clock is ticking. Once lost, farmland's lost forever. Thanks.
Anyone else for public comment?
My name is Phil Howe. I live 4372 East, 700 South, Columbia City. I just have a question. What does, when it changes over, what does that do to the surrounding people? What does that change? What they can do to their properties? I looked for this. I can't find it anyplace. You know, that's my question. I'm not saying, you know, I'd just like to know what it changes.
Didn't change anything.
Okay, so if you got ground that's butted up to it, it doesn't change anything that you can do to that.
There are some additional provisions that you would need to, boxes you need to check in terms of drainage and things like that.
Oh, I
My
was just curious. You know, I've tried to get this information, and that's my only question.
Yeah, if you could just provide your contact info after the meeting, I'd be happy to send it from our zoning code ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else for public comment?
I just wanted to say, there have been a couple of comments about the AGP sign. It is up. It's
Thank
there.
you.
So anything, it's up.
Anyone else for public comment today, please? Hearing none, Andy, is there anything you'd like to add to today's meeting?
Nothing further.
Tiffany. Commissioner Schuman.
I'll just reiterate my commitment as a member of the ag community, being proud of where I come from and what I stand for. I would, even though this didn't go in the favor that I'd hoped, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. And I'll reiterate that Whitley County is an agricultural community. We produce food here, and we want to, those of us in the ag community are committed to continuing to do that in the future. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, and I guess I'd encourage anyone listening to this to reach out to if you know of a farmer. Social media is a great tool, You can learn, you can educate yourself, whether it's a CAFO, you know, there's, I'm not sure what the latest count is, but there's over 7 billion people on this planet and they all need to eat. And we cannot feed them farming the way we did in the past. We can't produce enough to meet the need. And so we need to use tools in modern agriculture, whether it's GMOs or confined feeding operations. Those kind of things are all tools that we have to, any business does not stay the same. You're either growing or you're dying. And so if we tried to farm like we have in the past, then of those 7 billion folks, some of them need to start volunteering to skip a meal here and there, and I don't see anybody interested in doing that. So just understand that this is an agricultural community, and when you live here or close to here, there's going to be times when there's going to be farming activities that you're going to be nearby, and that's what you're accepting when you choose to live out this way.
Commissioner Basinger, anything to add?
I have nothing.
And I have nothing to add. Thanks everyone for coming. At this time, I'll adjourn the meeting.